Hi, welcome to my video series about making a pedestal stand for a bronze eagle sculpture. As you could see from the photograph and rendering at the beginning of the video, there's a more or less upright piece. It's actually at 9-degree angle to make the stand 44 inches tall, and that upright piece, as well as the top and bottom platforms, are going to be made of white oak that we will be dyeing to a very dark color to try to match the rocks over which the eagle is flying in the sculpture. To make that upright, I'm using 3 planks of 4/4 white oak. The 2 outer planks came from the same 10-foot plank. The center plank comes from a different plank. They're going to be glued together, and when the glue is set, I'll then shape this into an oval, wider at the bottom, tapering to the top, and that will form the basic upright, at which point I can then angle the bottom and the top to attach to the platforms. So let's go ahead and get on with this. I've already run these through the planer to get them true, the jointer and the planer to get them true. Now I'm going to go ahead and sand the inner surfaces to remove any planer and jointer marks and get some good tooth for the glue to absorb into, and then we'll clamp it up with some Unibond 800 very stiff glue that will prevent any further creep later on. As I mentioned to you, I'm using Unibond 800 to glue these 3 planks together to make the upright, and the reason is this glue forms a very stiff glue joint that won't allow the pieces of wood to creep against each other over time. If you use a PVA type glue, typical yellow glue, that will stay plastic and allow the wood to creep, and you'll feel the joint between the boards as the wood moves seasonally. But with Unibond, it's very stiff. I often save pieces of Unibond that cure in the bottom of my mixing pan after I'm done, just so I can show people how this stuff behaves. But this is some Unibond, and it's very stiff, like peanut brittle. It cuts with it breaks with a very brittle joint, so you can just see how stiff it is, and it won't creep. So I'm going to go ahead and mix it up at about 10 parts of the liquid resin to 1 part of the catalyst powder. In this case, I'm using the dark catalyst powder because we're going to be dyeing this piece dark, so if there's any place where the glue joint does not allow the stain to penetrate, the glue will be dark anyway, and it'll match much better. And then I'm going to apply it with a notched trowel. This is a Hyde 19120. It's got very shallow notches. I can pour a little glue on the surface, trowel it, and then go ahead and combine the surfaces and clamp it all up. As you can see, I have loads of clamps standing by so that when I'm ready to clamp, I can do it quickly and efficiently. Now I mixed up this Unibond and let it sit for 5 minutes or so, and stirred it up some more so that I get full mixing of the resin and the hardener. I mix up about 200 grams. Let's see how that works. If I have to mix up some more, it's an easy thing to do. Here we are. I've got as many clamps as I can fit on this. This is thick wood. This takes a lot of clamping power. I'm going to let this set. This glue cures as a function of temperature and time. The warmer it is, the faster it cures. If I was strong enough, I could carry this outside where it's over 90 degrees and it would cure in a couple of hours, but I'm not strong enough, so let's let it sit overnight. At this point, I've got the upright piece glued up, the 3 planks of white oak, and now I'm going to cut the base angle. This upright actually leans over at 9 degrees, so I set my sliding compound miter saw for 9 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and cut the angle on the base and cut the angle on the top so that I can do that while I have good reference surfaces. Because the next step after this is to then shape this into a tapering ellipsoid shape, kind of an oval shape, starting large at the bottom, tapered to the top. And once I've done that, I'll have no reference from which to cut. So I'm going to do these cuts right now. Because these are very deep cuts, it's going to require turning the piece over again. Actually, I'll flip it end for end so I can cut it through the other half. I've got the base and the top cut. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that they're parallel, and an easy way to do that is just to set this on a flat surface such as my saw table, and I've got a little angle, digital angle gauge here. I'll set my 0 to the saw table, so that's 0 degrees, and then I'll set this up here 0.1 degrees, so I'm pretty close to 0. Let me check the other direction. Again, I'll zero out my gauge, set it up on top, and that's 0.2 degrees. So, you know, I'm within 0.2 of a degree of being parallel, which is pretty good actually. Okay, the last thing I'll check is to make sure I got my 9 degrees right. Sure enough, I'm within a tenth of a degree of 9 degrees. So we're all set. Now we can go ahead and cut this down to its ellipsoid shape. Able to take off the corners of this and give it its basic octagonal shape. By the way, the sequence you just saw was really roughing this out to shape. First we band sawed all 4 sides of the taper to get a basically tapered billet. And then using the big jointer here with this fence set to 45 degrees, I was able to take off a lot of waste on the corners. Okay, so I've come up from the jointer where I've jointed off the corners and roughed out the shape of the oval that I need at the top and bottom. Now I'm going to try to hog off some more material from these other corners along here before I get into this with hand tools. I'm going to use a power planer. It'll quickly take some of this material off, save us some time, and then we can do the fine work with the hand tools. Well, we've got the vertical pedestal part shaped just about the way we want it. At this point, now I'm going to use hand tools, spoke shave, and a smooth plane to take out any marks and get this very, very nice before we go to sanding.